flick.
Do you like monster movies?
Yes, I am a big fan of like the whole monster culture.
Okay,
like,
because that I think is a big deciding factor on if you're gonna like this film or not.
If you're a monster fan or a creature fan,
yeah,
you'll enjoy this film.
I am not a monster person.
Yeah, see, that's why I said from the get-go, I was like, I don't think you're gonna rate this higher than a 6. Did you get a haircut?
Shut the heck up! It's so stupid. For anyone who's listening, you can probably already tell a marked difference in the way that Mario sounds. Mario no longer has hair on top of his head.
And I got my eyebrows done.
And he got his eyebrows done. So no hair on head, less hair on brows.
Welcome back to Including Clueless.
Where we talk about the importance of men's facial hair.
We do. My name is Mario, and today I am clued in.
And I'm Kristen, and I am clueless.
Feels like it's been forever since I've been clued in.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been clueless.
How's your week been?
It's been pretty good. Nothing crazy going on. I've been really tired. I've just been busy. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Tired, busy.
Yeah.
Kind of just running all over the place.
Yeah.
Last minute hangouts, you know.
Yeah. It doesn't feel easier you don't feel more agile now that you have no hair on your head?
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I could run a little bit faster.
Yeah, just shave a little time off.
Usually my mile is 16 minutes. Probably 15-30 now.
Oh, 30 seconds. Just because you shaved your head.
Exactly.
That's incredible, man. Wow. That's crazy. Good for you. What about your swim time?
I still drown.
Every time they put me in water, I just sink to the bottom right away.
So, Kristen. What is your opinion on gangster movies?
Gangster movies?
Yeah, it's its own genre. Like you could call The Godfather.
Okay, so I guess we're not watching The Godfather.
We're not watching.
That was
going to
be my guess.
No.
Are we watching The Goonies?
Is that? No, we're not watching The Goonies.
The Godfather, Goonies.
So I'll give you. What's your opinion on George Clooney?
We already talked about this. I think he's fine.
So let's say you had 12 friends.
Oh my gosh, you're watching another Ocean's movie?
We're not.
Okay.
What we are watching, though, is a George Clooney movie.
Okay.
And it's a gangster film.
Okay.
I
guarantee I haven't seen this movie.
From Dusk Till Dawn.
I don't even know what that is.
Okay, awesome. That's great. Came out in 96.
Okay.
And fun fact about this movie, actually. This was George Clooney's first major film.
Really? Okay.
That really kind of popped him off into stardom.
Cool.
He did a lot of reoccurring TV character shows, and he won a Golden Globe for his appearance on ER. Didn't know he was on ER.
I didn't know he was on ER.
And then this is the movie that kind of just put him on the radar for some people.
Sick. All right. Cool.
Directed by Texas's own Robert Rodriguez.
Ooh. Okay.
And screenplay was written by Quentin Tarantino.
Okay.
So this is after...
Interesting. This is not my typical kind of movie that I usually watch.
Your typical movie you watch, and this is not a typical movie that's been played on Including Clueless yet.
Yeah, yeah.
And so this is after Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, so it has that witty dialogue that he's really known for. Mm-hmm. And this is also after Robert Rodriguez, El Mariachi, and Desperado.
Okay.
Which is huge in its whole gunfights and kind of just set up for everything. So this is going to be a very interesting film to watch.
Yeah.
Let me give you a bit of the description.
Okay.
On the back of the cover. So on the run from a bank robbery that left several police officers dead, Seth Gecko, which is George Clooney, and his paranoid loose cannon brother Richard, which is Quentin Tarantino, hightail it to the Mexican border.
So he wrote it and he's in it?
He wrote the screenplay, yes.
Okay.
And then he is also in it because he usually makes cameos in all his films.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen a Quentin Tarantino film, ever.
Nice. Have you ever seen a Robert Rodriguez film?
Oh, yeah. Spy Kids?
There you
go.
Hello? So this cast consists of George Clooney.
Okay.
Quentin Tarantino. Mm-hmm. Salma Hayek.
Okay.
Danny Trejo.
Okay, it's this whole circuit of people. It's the Robert Rodriguez people.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
It is Robert Rodriguez's people. So I am excited to watch this with you. There is...
I learned a lot about Danny Trejo this week, actually.
Did you?
Yeah, I really didn't know very much about him at all. I know that Machete is I know that's what he's called, and like I know that he's in Spy Kids. That's like literally all I know about him. I also know that someone I went to college with was working at Starbucks one time, and he walked in. But that's all I knew about him. I had no idea about, like, literally never looked into him at all. I had no idea, like, his struggles in the past with, like, different substances and, like, whatever, and I just learned a lot about him, and like his beginnings and his startings with acting and stuff. So I'm kind of excited to see something that he's in now that I know a little bit more about like where he has come from.
Do you know about his thing about playing bad guys in films?
No.
If he ever plays a bad guy in a film, he wants that character to die because from his experiences, you know, in prison life and everything like that, he just feels like that's what should happen to like bad guys, you know.
That's an interesting take. That's a strong take. Okay.
He's like, yeah, just kill me.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, I think this is gonna be a fun film to watch. I'm not sure if you're gonna like the film.
Okay.
I think you'll enjoy it, but I think you'll have your issues, and maybe you'll be like, eh.
Okay. Okay. So what do you like? You think that like I won't rate it higher than like a 6?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think something like that.
Okay.
So this is definitely a huge change from what we watch. We've been watching some comedies. We've been watching some nice slow-paced bank heists.
Yeah. Is Melissa McCarthy in this one?
You know, I don't think she is, sadly.
I don't really want to watch it anymore.
But any final thoughts before we jump in?
No, I'm just excited. I'm excited. I think that this is going to have a lot of... Again, I haven't seen a lot of George Clooney movies. We just said I haven't really seen, I haven't seen Danny Trejo in anything outside of Spy Kids. Haven't seen Quentin Tarantino movies. So I'm excited to expand my horizons of people that I have very limited views on.
Awesome. So now we're going to go ahead and watch this film. If you want to watch it, it's streaming as of this recording on HBO Max, and you can probably rent it everywhere. And if you go to a Walmart or a Barnes & Noble, anything like that, Blockbuster,
Hollywood movie,
you'll probably find it in the dollar bin somewhere. So we'll see you in a minute.
Welcome everyone back to our episode of Clued and Clueless after watching the Cheech show.
Yeah, we just finished watching From Dusk Till Dawn, just a normal everyday gangster film.
Which I guess was the movie that I was thinking. Okay, so here's my thing.
Yeah, what is your quick thoughts?
Well, when you said Dusk Until Dawn, I was like, isn't that a vampire movie? But then you started listing off the people in it, and I didn't really know anything about Dusk Till Dawn, and so I was like, I think that's a vampire movie. But then you started explaining it. You were like a gangster movie, and you named the people in it, and I was like, okay, so I must be thinking of like a different movie. It must not be the same thing. It must have just a similar title. But I guess it was vampires.
I'll ask you this real quick, and then I'll hop into a quick little breakdown of the film.
Okay.
Did the twist surprise you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I could never have seen that coming. Could never have seen that coming, ever.
And in saying that, let me give you a quick little rundown of what this film is while Kristen collects her thoughts over there. So, George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino are bank robbers on the run from the police, and they're trying to make their way to Mexico. The movie starts out with them having a shootout, believing that the clerk was giving signals to the cop that came into the room. They make their way down. They arrive to the motel with their hostage. George Clooney is like, hey, I'm going to go check out the border. You stay here. Don't do anything. See you later. As that happens, we're introduced to the Fuller family, which is played by Harvey Keitel, Juliette Lewis, and Ernest Liu. Jacob, Kate, and Scott Fuller.
Fuller?
I
think it's Fuller.
It is Fuller. I had a part of it blocked by the poll. So we're introduced to them. We find out a little bit of their backstory. Then we go back to George. He comes back to the hotel and finds out that his brother killed the hostage. And that's when we really find out that, you know, George Clooney isn't just a straight killer. He's more of a thief, and he's disgusted in his brother's actions. Yeah. And he's like, what is wrong with you?
We get a lot of character development that just we never need it for anything.
Yeah. So we have that. And so then George and Quentin Tarantino decide that they're going to, hey, let's kidnap these RV people and use them
because now they need more hostages.
Yeah, they need more hostages. They need to get over the border because it's swarming of FBI, swarming of the cops, swarming of state troopers. So they're like, how are we going to get across the border? let's steal this RV and just have them drive us in there. Mm-hmm. They'll never expect it. And that's when we meet Cheech for the first time. So they almost get nearly caught, but they manage to make it in. And they go to the rendezvous site, which is a strip club. They're going to meet there, called, what was it called again?
The Bleep and Bleep.
The Bleep and Bleep, because we're PG-13. We can't...
We're PG-13.
PG-13. So, they're at the club. This is when we meet Cheech the second time. Different character this time.
Cheech number 2.
Chet Bleep. And turns out, lo and behold, that this club is full of vampires. And they've kind of just been around and kind of been just killing truckers and bikers and taking their stuff. So they kill all the vampires in the club. And then now there's like bats swarming the club, which are all vampires, and they're trying to get in because they know something's going on into their little hideout. And then one of the characters that we meet during this whole time, named Sex Machine, played by Tom Savini, he gets bit. And he starts trying to hide his, that he got it bit. Typical, survivor being all like, oh, don't find out that I'm a vampire. And so he kind of turns on them because he doesn't tell them. And now all the vampires are let in. And now they have to do like a final standoff. So they go to a back room. Jacob Fuller, Harvey Keitel, has been bit. And he's getting them all set up. He's blessing the water, and he's like, are we going to go out there and fight him? When I turn, I need y'all to promise you'll kill me. And these kids promise, and they do their standoff. Scott Fuller, Ernest Yu, his son, dies. Jacob dies. So now it's just Kate and George having their final little battle with all these vampires. And then Cheech, for the third time, now known as Carlos, comes, and he's like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, Cheech, shoot down the door, and they shoot it down. The sun busts into the room, it reflects off the disco light, and all the remaining vampires are killed inside the club. And then George Clooney rides off into the sunset to El Rey. And, Kate is kind of just left there.
Yeah, after he's destroyed this family.
Destroyed her family. What did you just find out as you're looking over there? I'm
looking at IMDb, and that movie has a 7.2 out of 10 rating on IMDb.
I was going to get there, but yeah, has a 7.2. A 63% on Rotten Tomato.
I think that's very interesting.
Yeah? You think it's very interesting? Okay. So what are your opinions on this film, or any notes that you took? Was I right that I said that you'd enjoy the film but not like it?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I even enjoyed the film.
Okay, that's what I figured this was going.
I was so confused. For a long time, the only note I had written down was, what is going on here? First of all, I'd like to say, I knew all this was going to go wrong as soon as there was a motel. Never stay in motels. Motels are so scary.
Yeah, that's true.
Motels are terrifying. Nothing good happens at a motel. So, I don't know. I don't really have many notes, just because, like, I don't really understand what the point of this movie was. I don't know, like, what they were trying to get us to get out of it. The only thing that I can, like, possibly come up with is that it was about, like, reclaiming faith or, like, keeping faith, and that was, like, literally the only thing that I could even possibly see being the point of this movie. I don't know. This was the most insane, unhinged film I've ever seen in my entire life.
So I love that you say that, right? So our good friend Roger Ebert, he reviewed this film back in 1996 when this came out, and he has to say this about it.
Okay.
He says, genre hopping like that is a specialty of the movie's writer, Quentin Tarantino, whose work sometimes resembles channel surfing. Robert Rodriguez can only be said to throw himself into the same spirit, heart, and soul. This is one of those movies you might like or you might hate, but you won't deny its crazy zeal. He gave it a 3 stars, and throughout the review near the end, he said that he really enjoyed the first hour, which is the gangster subplot, that whole getting to Mexico part. It really turns its head once everyone turns vampires and everything. And he says for, two directors and with how, like, really good they are, they really kind of dropped the ball in the second half of this film.
And they pivoted hard. Mm-hmm. Like, they really planted a lot of seeds in that first half of the movie. And then they pivoted, which, like, okay, that's fine if that's the movie that you want to make. But, like, nothing, they lost any semblance of, like, again, like, what was the point of the movie then? Because you start the first half of the movie thinking that the brother is the antagonist of the film, and then he dies, like, almost immediately. So, like, then you lose who you thought the antagonist was, and then the antagonist just becomes the vampires, but there's no real, like, real stakes in that, I guess. Like, you, like... there's no real stakes in that because, like, okay, the character's supposed to stay alive, that's what I'm supposed to be, like, that's what I'm supposed to be rooting for, but you've lost any form of, like, stakes. You don't have any, like, okay, I want these, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because from the get-go, you have these two, like, they are our protagonists, but they're not good people in any shape or form.
Well, they're protagonists and antagonists. Yeah. I would say that you start the film thinking that George Clooney is going to be the protagonist and his brother is going to be the antagonist throughout the film. And then he's just not. Exactly. And then you lose, like, what was the point of this movie? You have
a really good setup for a good, like I said, gangster film.
Yeah.
Which could really, like you said, turn his brothers, like, because George hates him, mm-hmm. I'm going to just call him by their actor name.
I don't think he hates him.
He loves his brother, mm-hmm. but he hates what kind of person he is.
He hates what he does.
Exactly.
But he cares about his brother.
Yeah, because he's like, I'm not like you. Yeah. I don't just kill people mm-hmm. and,
and enjoy killing people.
Yeah, I don't enjoy this kind of stuff. Yeah. He's like, I'm a thief. He's like, I just rob people, and if I do have to, kill someone, I will do it because I've been put in a position, not because I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
So,
and he tries it, you can tell, like, also, he tries to make things work out where he doesn't have to hurt people. He tries to get,
does.
It's more, he's trying to threaten more, but, like, let people go, but just kind of bend them to do what he needs them to do. But with the full intention of getting out of there without anybody actually being hurt. He just wants to get what he wants out of the situation. But his brother seems to always be trying to bend things in a way where he can hurt somebody.
And even when his brother does, like, turn to a vampire, you have that moment where he says...
It's such a ridiculous conversation. Yeah. Like, even that, like, what we've been talking about, and then when he turns to a vampire, it's such a hard pivot.
It really is. But then he says that line, he's like, I'm going to give you peace and death that I couldn't give you in life. Yeah. Which is, I couldn't help you as a person. Yeah. I'm pretty much like, I'm sorry that I led you down, like, this path.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, I enjoy the film just because it's so wacky and zany.
It is.
But it's a good, just like, popcorn action film, I would say. But I do wish seeing it again for, like, probably my 5th time.
5 times? You've seen this movie 5 times, Mario?
Hey, man, I like Rodriguez.
That's crazy.
It's a good, to me, it's a good film. It's a solid 3.5 for me. But I wish, they would have kept just the first half, besides doing the whole, like, vampire twist.
Yeah.
It could have been a way better film, I think.
It was very interesting. My brain is still processing, I think, everything that it just was forced to see. Mm-hmm. I didn't like the representation of vampires in this.
No? What kind of vampires were you looking for?
I like when the vampires are pretty attractive. Yeah. I like my vampires pretty hot,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
Which I do think, though, is like a more modern take on vampires. Definitely. Because they used to be like this is a very 90s representation of vampires, because vampires are monsters, you know what I mean? Like, they're monsters, and they slowly evolved from being these weird cryptid, like, very, like, grotesque looking things into, like, Edward Cullen. Yeah. Edward Cullen, the Vampire Diaries, like, a very different kind of vampire, Well,
I think, like, if we go back to, like, the original, like, Vampire Dracula, mm-hmm. he was supposed to be, like, an attractive person.
This might be a stupid question, and expose me for my lack of vampire lore knowledge. Yeah. So Nosferatu?
Yes. That Nosferatu is the vampire who turned Dracula, if I'm correct on that. He's like the original.
So is the story of him, like, not just like his existence, but like his story, did that come before Dracula? Did we know his story before we knew Dracula's story?
I believe so.
Okay.
Which there is a movie coming out about that.
About Nosferatu?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
I believe it was going to star Anna Taylor-Joy. I don't know if it's starring her anymore.
I know him from SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how a lot of people.
Yeah, the hash slinging, the slap. Well, then who turned out the lights? Nosferatu. So stupid.
Actually, going back to your talk. We'll go back to the vampire talk, but you saying that you've heard, like, From Dusk Till Dawn, you thinking it was a vampire thing.
Yeah.
You might have seen, like, commercials or at least trailers or something like that from the TV show that they made very recently. That came out in 2013, 2014.
Okay.
They made a TV series about it.
Based off of this, though?
Based off of this, yeah.
Interesting.
They also made 2 sequels after this movie. What? I think they're both prequels. But they both came out in the year 1999. I thought that was kind of crazy. Huh. To be honest with you.
So the TV series, do the vampires look like this?
I don't know. I've never seen the series. I wanted to, but I think this is the time I was, like, working. But,
Whoa, what does that mean?
I was just working too much. I didn't really have time to watch it.
Why did you put up quotation marks, though?
Because I can't remember when it came out, so I don't know if I was working or not. I could have just been in school.
That's not what air quotes mean.
It wasn't a quote, air quote. I don't think I did air quote.
Playback.
But,
2014 to 2016.
Okay, so yeah, it came out, like, right as I was, like, getting into.
No, these look like modern vampires.
Yeah, and I think that was the turn that they wanted to do.
Okay.
Make them more, like, modern, hot, like you were saying.
Yeah,
the attractive vampire. Once Twilight came out, they kind of changed the whole game of, like, how vampires look.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy, like, how human they were, and then they turn into these creatures.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah.
Because like I was saying, when you have someone like Tom Savini, who's this legendary creature maker and just, like, is known in Hollywood as one of the best, like, special effects kind of person, it's like, why not?
I will say that I appreciated how individual they all were, like how all of the monsters looked different from each other. They were all pretty unique. I can appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
From, like, an FX kind of standpoint.
Until it gets to the end, like, they all kind of look very
well,
similar.
when it's, like, all of the bats, then they all kind of end up being the same, but, like, our individual characters that we get individual shots on, like, all kind of morph differently.
When we have Salma Hayek, I'm pretty sure she's supposed to be, like, the queen vampire.
Okay.
They do, like, kind of kill her off pretty fast.
Yeah, they do kill her really quickly.
Yeah, which I'm always kind of like, that's a weird choice to do.
Yeah. Well, again, once the vampires come into play, I don't understand why anything is happening anymore.
No, yeah.
Like, it seems like the film just completely loses all sense of direction and purpose. So, like, from that point on, I feel like I don't really know what's going on anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like how, as they're fighting all the vampires, like, once everything starts kicking off in the very beginning, as soon as they're kind of done, they have this moment of, we're fighting vampires. That's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't believe in vampires at all.
Yeah.
But this is what we're fighting, and if anyone says anything otherwise,
yeah. That's what they say. I don't believe in vampires, but I believe in what I just saw, or something like that. Saw. Yeah.
And they're like, what do we know about vampires?
And then they just start listing. They're like, garlic.
Yeah. Which I do like as, like, a character, because it's like this is a world where those aren't, like, not a thing.
Yeah.
And plenty of, like, zombie flicks or something, like, you'll see, they will be like, what's going on?
Yeah.
What is all this? Sometimes they'll just, like, skirt around as if, like, that just doesn't exist in their pop culture. Yeah. So it's like, at least in this world, they're like, it exists.
Yeah. You mean like what? You mean like they stick to the classic things that harm vampires?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Because, like, there'll be, like I think Dawn of the Dead, the 2001 remake, I don't think anyone knows, like, what a zombie is.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, you have to believe in this, like, modern age of, like, people, right?
Right.
That no one has ever came up with the concept of the undead or anything like that.
Well, but I don't... Okay, well, I guess it just depends on how you do it. Because, like, in the Vampire Diaries, shut the heck up. The only vampire story that matters, the Vampire Diaries. In that one, like, garlic doesn't affect them, like, at all. But they, like, address it, and they just talk about how, like, that's just, like...
Yeah.
That concept exists in, like, books and stuff, but they're like, but that's not real, you know? Like, legends just kind of get twisted and whatever, and things turn into different things. So,
and
like...
It's like, in Twilight, sunlight doesn't affect them. They kind of just, like,
oh, they sparkle. Yeah, it strengthens them. But, yeah, so, like, in the Vampire Diaries, they can't go in the sun. But like garlic doesn't affect them. Like holy water doesn't affect them. Crosses doesn't affect them. Like,
so it's only like sunlight for them?
It's sunlight and wooden stakes through the heart. Yeah, but the Vampire Diaries is it's really elaborate. You probably wouldn't understand.
You gotta have a bit high IQ.
Because the Vampire Diaries has, it's not just about vampires. It has, like, witches and, like, a lot, like, werewolves, like, a lot of other things. It's really deep into, like, lore. And so, like...
werewolves in that?
Yeah. So there's, like, a lot of, like, rules. So, like, the reason that they can't go into sunlight is not just because, like, sunlight hurts. It goes back to, like, the creation of vampires and, like, how it's a curse. Like, it's like... It actually has more elaborate of, like... not plot points, like more elaborate reasoning behind everything than you would think. Cause
interesting.
Yeah. I won't ramble on about Vampire Diaries, but I when I first saw it, my sister got me to watch it, and when I first saw it, I thought it was going to be stupid. I thought it was going to be like Pretty Little Liars, which I loved in high school, but like I thought it was going to be like a high school service level like show. It's actually really good. It's got a lot of character development and a lot of like intricacies when it comes to why things are happening the way that they do. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, so these vampires are just very, very different. And I almost like, though, when they steer clear from those original things. It doesn't matter, like, you know, if they do, it's not a big deal. Like, if they say garlic affects them, whatever. It's just, to me, it makes more sense that, like, some of that stuff would have gotten lost in translation, and not all of that is completely accurate. But there's nothing wrong with them sticking to it. It's just a preference, you know.
Nice. And what did you think of our, besides our main cast of Jacob, Kate, Scott, and then Seth and Richard, what did you think of, you know, Razor Charlie, which is Danny Trejo, Sex Machine, Tom Savini, Frost, Fred Williamson? What did you think of these, like, side characters that came into the film?
I mean, I guess they were fine. It's just, this is even difficult from, like,
Just over the mic.
This is even, like, hard from a performer perspective, because those characters all come into play once we've gotten to the club, and, like, we meet those characters, like, minutes before the whole thing happens.
You just see, like, little glimpses of their characters when they're painting the club.
And, like, again, like, I think we lose everything after the vampires come out. So, like, we didn't see a lot of, like, character development. We didn't really get to know much about the characters. We just kind of see them fighting. Like, we're just introduced to them, and then they fight, and then they all die. And that's pretty much it. So I can't even really say much. They feel more like cameos than anything, than like actual characters, because they don't we don't learn anything really about them. Nothing of substance, at least. So
because it definitely, like, especially just Tom and Fred, it turns into the sense of, hey, we're here, we're gonna fight alongside of y'all just to survive. Oh, we're dead, we're vampires.
Yeah, exactly, that's it. So they're not, like, there's nothing, it's hard to even base it off, like, a performance, because they don't really have much of a performance. They don't have a lot of room.
I could definitely say this movie is just full of, like, cameos, where if you're just a big fan of, like, Robert Rodriguez films or Quentin Tarantino films, you'll be like, oh, hey, that's Fred Williamson, that's Tom Savini. Robert Rodriguez was in the band. He was playing guitar.
Yeah.
The lead singer, I believe, is, like, an apprentice of Tom Savini. He's also, like, huge in, like, the whole makeup world. So it's just, like, this movie just has cameos definitely all over the place. The only real character, because even Quentin Tarantino, you could call a character.
Yeah.
But I would still almost just call that a cameo. Just due to the fact.
I would not agree with that. He's in half the movie as a legitimate character with development and
But even him, like I feel like he's talked about this before. It's like he knows he's not like a great actor, and so a lot of the time he put, like I said, he always cameos in every single one of his films.
Yeah,
and he's only in there for 10-15 minutes. And this one, he's in there a lot longer. I'm not really sure why.
Yeah. Well, what was the point of this whole thing? Why did anything happen? Like, I don't understand why any of it happened. But yeah, I wouldn't say that he was a cameo. He was in it way too much to be a cameo. But he just never got to like the end of the character development. Yeah. Because the movie just didn't.
His character was very much of a straight line.
Yeah.
It's I am a murderer who sexually harassed women.
Yeah, and I just stay that way until I die.
Exactly. But we have a lot of character development from George Clooney, this is basically the George Clooney movie.
I don't even know if I'd say we have a lot of character development.
Think so?
No, I don't.
I feel like you see a lot of the roller coaster of what his character is.
Okay, so elaborate on that. What do you mean?
So when we first meet him, right, he's very, hey, what are you doing? I told you, get the cop out, talk to him, whatever, act natural, get him out. And then immediately that kind of turns because his brother's like, he's giving him signals. And so we find out, he's like, okay, he's a, just a criminal or murderer. Well, then we get to the motel. And you kind of realize he has some, sense to him. When he's talking to the hostage, he's like, hey, just follow my rules, and I will not hurt you. As we find out from the beginning, he's not a person who just wants to go guns and blazing. And then we find out even more about him when his brother does the thing that he does. He's like, I am not this type of person. I am not a monster. I'm just a thief, okay?
Yeah.
And then we even see, I feel more of that when he's talking to Jacob Fuller, Harvey Keitel, on the RV. He's trying to, not form a relationship or anything, but he's trying to act almost normal. And then until it turns to a point where it's like, okay, fine, whatever, let's not talk, And then even when he gets to the bar, he's not just a guy who's, when Jacob's talking to him, he's like, why can't you just understand when you won? Why can't you just, be happy? You did it. You escaped the Border Patrol. You escaped the FBI. And even then, he stops being kind of this, angry dude. He stops, just trying to drink himself to, lose it, And he's like, you know what? You're right. I did it. I managed to do the impossible, pretty much. And then even when he's, fighting with them, he's turning into this person of, he didn't care about this family. But he's like, you know what? I'm going to help y'all stay alive. I'm not just going to, let y'all fend for yourselves. Yeah. It's like, let's do this. Even if we're going to die, let's do this. Let's rally. And even at the end there, he's, talking to Kate when she's, just lost her whole family. And she's like, hey, can I come with you? Yeah. And he's like, do you know what's in El Rey? Do you know what that's all about? Yeah. And he's like, I might be a terrible person, but I'm not going to drag you anymore into this entire thing.
But that's what I mean. That's all you just said. He didn't change throughout the movie. I don't know. It was all that's what I mean. It was all the same thing he's established really early on as being the one out of the brothers that has some sort of moral compass and that he is somewhat of a rational thinker. And that's just what he is through the whole film. There's no real evolving in his character. There's I guess
if we're putting it like that.
Yeah. And that's just a miscommunication because that's what I mean by character development. He is the same. He's almost exactly the same. He's not exactly the same because now he's been through whatever. But he is the only character that has any sort of change or evolvement to his or evolution in his character. And it, I would say, is very small and isn't it's not it's unforeseen or he had a big revelation and he used to be a heartless killer and now he cares about this family. No, he's the same guy throughout the film. Yeah. His circumstances have just changed. So there's not a lot of evolution development to his character. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
nobody really changes in this film, which is wild because they go through something insane.
Would you say Jacob changes with finding his faith again to a degree?
I don't know because I don't even know if he really believes that or if he's just okay, well, this is what's working against the vampires, so I'm gonna do what I gotta do here. We didn't get a moment where he's on his own and drops to his knees and says like an earnest prayer. He's just like, okay, well, I'm gonna make a cross out of this and say a couple of things and see if that works to keep me alive. Honestly, I would say the most developed character that we get is Kate. Because she starts as like a very, who's the daughter in the film. She starts as like a very devout, we have no idea what religion, but some sort of Christian. A very devout Christian. And like you get the idea that she's, you know, a shyer person, or like, you know, someone who hasn't seen much of the world and this and that, whatever, and she's now in this absolutely insane position and has to really toughen up through it, and she ends up having to kill her brother. It's like, you know, and then at the end she asks George Clooney's character, as he's getting ready to drive off, she asks if she can start tagging along with him. So like, that's a very different kind of person that she is trying to be at the end of the film. So I honestly think that Kate had the most development throughout the film. Yeah.
Well, someone who had zero development.
Which, sorry, Kate, by the way, is also the daughter in Christmas Vacation, for anyone who's seen that movie.
But someone who had zero kind of character progression as you're going on, and I kind of just feel was just there to be another body, was her brother, Scott Fuller.
Yeah, what was
Ernest
up with him?
Blue. It's very strange.
Served no purpose.
I think it's definitely just to make, like a family.
Yeah, one boy, one girl.
And then even to just help, you know, move Kate's character along with him sacrificed and telling her to, like, he's like, kill me, Kate.
She could have done that to her dad, though. You know, like, they could have written it to be like that.
Yeah.
He did feel like a very useless character. He didn't do anything. He had very few lines in the movie.
Yeah, he really was kind of just there.
Yeah.
Like, the movie, you could have, like, written that character out and nothing changes.
Yeah, literally nothing would have changed if the brother wasn't in it. I agree.
But, yeah, I think it's just like a fun, turn your brain off and just enjoy an action film kind of flick.
Do you like monster movies?
Yes, I am a big fan of, like, the whole monster culture.
Okay, because like that I think is a big deciding factor on if you're going to like this film or not.
If you're a monster fan or a creature fan,
yeah,
you'll enjoy this film.
I am not a monster person.
Yeah, see, that's why I said from the get-go, I was like, I don't think you're going to rate this higher than a 6, and I don't even think you're going to rate it that close. Yeah,
I was not big on it. I'm trying to look on, like, IMDb just to see, like, what other people thought of this, because this is just so... It feels, and correct me if I'm wrong, you obviously know more about this movie than I do, this feels like a cult movie to me. This feels like only a niche group of people would actually be watching those sequels.
I don't know if... Well, the sequels definitely. They drop hard.
Really?
Yes. I've seen the second one. I don't think I've ever seen the third one, which I think is called Hangman's Daughter or something like that. But yeah, the quality definitely dips. I don't... Because I know this... I believe the film had a budget of either 15 or like 19 million. So it fluxes in between there.
According to IMDb, it was 19 million.
Yeah. And then I read somewhere else it was like 15, but whatever. No one ever knows Hollywood budgets, really. No. But I think in its opening weekend, it made 10 million. And then international, like, worldwide, all that, in total, it made maybe 26 million. Yeah, it was just... I think it's definitely a film bro movie. In the sense that they're like, oh, Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez are making a film. And then especially, if I remember correctly, when this movie was being promoted, only, like, the first half was being promoted. As in, like, trailers and all that.
Oh my gosh, so everyone was just like, what the heck is going on?
You think it's going to just be a like, this gangster film. Like, something in the lines of, like, Pulp Fiction, which, you know, Quentin Tarantino is coming off of. And you have Desperado and El Mariachi. You're like, oh, it's going to be, like, just cool shootouts, all this. And then the second half comes, and everyone, like, at that point is like, well, what, like, how you had, what is this movie
like,
now?
What the heck is happening?
Yeah. Like, what is this movie? And I think that's where its fan base comes from, just being how drastic it changes.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's like I said, I don't think everyone enjoys it, especially if they're expecting, like, a film like that.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, like, a lot of this film targets very specific groups of people. Monster fans, I feel like, well, I guess what I'm trying to say is it has a lot of polarizing components that are going to make it either people really, really like it or people are just not interested in it at all.
Yeah, you like it or you hate it.
Yeah, and I think monsters being a part of that, I think that's number one. I don't feel like Robert Rodriguez is very polarizing, but he brings in like a certain group of people as like a diehard fan base. He doesn't have wide casting of a net as a lot of other directors. And then Quentin Tarantino, I think, has a very specific diehard fan base that, you know, will just see whatever he puts out. And it's people who like these things, who are interested in monster films, who are interested in Quentin Tarantino films, Robert Rodriguez films, will come see it and like will find what they are looking for in this movie. But if you're not like, you know, a very dedicated, passionate fan about those things, you're going to be very confused. You're going to be scared. And that is where I found myself, is I like Robert Rodriguez because I like Spy Kids, but like I don't watch a lot of his films. Haven't seen a lot of Quentin Tarantino, but mostly because like I'm not very interested in his in the kind of stuff that he makes. Not a monster gal, so I was just kind of sitting here like,
it's a film.
I don't know what's happening. I'm a little scared.
And that's what definitely why I don't want to call it like a cult film, because I feel like people are, if you are seeing this, you're seeing it because you're a fan of Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino. No one was seeing the second ones because they're not attached to those at all. Right. It's not, they didn't come back for the second or third one. Okay. They definitely didn't come for the TV series. Yeah. So they're not a fan of like From Dusk Till Dawn as a whole.
Yeah, you know they're a fan of the components.
Because when I think of like a true cult film, I think of Evil Dead. How that has this 40 years now at this point of like people still watching the Evil Dead series. There's a new one coming out at the end of the month. Interesting. And it's not even being directed by Sam Raimi, and Bruce Campbell is not even a part of it anymore. So it's like, but people still come and see these movies. Right. They saw the 2013. They're excited for the this new one coming out. So that's like what I see as a true cult film. Yeah. That they're just a fan of like the idea.
Yeah. Interesting. What's the movie that Josh Hartnett's in with vampires?
Oh my gosh, Josh Hartnett. I don't know what it is.
He's in Pearl Harbor.
That's such a stretch for me because there's so many people on Pearl Harbor. But
he's one of the main guys.
He's not Ben Affleck?
Yeah, he's the main guy that's not Ben Affleck. Yes.
Is it,
He's in a vampire where I think it's in Alaska. Is it called 40 Days of Night?
Yes. I love that film.
I've never seen that one.
That is a really good vampire film.
Is it?
Because I like the idea of like it being 40 Days of Night, like taking place in Alaska. Yeah. You don't have sun.
Oh, 30 Days of Night.
Oh, 30. Same thing.
Yeah, you're right.
I get that confused all the time.
Okay, yeah, 30 Days of Night. Yeah, Josh Hartnett. Okay.
That's a very fun film. Again, monster flick, but it is straightforward of what it is. It is a vampire.
So are the vampires scary in that one?
Not like this. Not creatures. They're more human-ish looking. Okay. You can like see an image of them. Yeah. So they're more human features. Okay. Not monsters.
Yeah. Did Dusk Till Dawn win anything?
It did, actually. It won a Fangoria Award for Best Character.
Okay, I can see that.
The Chainsaw Awards for George Clooney. Okay. I think it won an MTV Breakout Star Award, which was, I think it was for George Clooney also. And then it won another MTV award, but nothing like huge. Nothing big like that. But it's funny to look at this film just because, like I said, it was like George Clooney's like, I want to say biggest film to date at this point. Yeah. Like he was in one other movie. It was a total flop. He's coming off ER, winning a Golden Globe. Yeah. And now he's in this. So.
Wow. It's just such an interesting... I find... just such an interesting film. And, like, all of the components are very interesting to me.
Yeah. And that's why when I read Roger's review, I was like, you're either going to love it or you hate it, but you can't, like, deny how just, like, unique
how insane it is. Yeah, for sure.
And I was like, that's really true. I was like, as someone who does like it, you know, I was like, I feel like everyone will see it once, and you'll either see it again with a group of friends, or you'll just never talk about it again.
Or you will just completely bury it.
And you're like, all right, that was a movie.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the movie of the 90s.
Wow, this is crazy.
Yeah. And one thing I always find, not like funny, but I like, is Rodriguez does always shoot his films in Texas or Mexico. Mm-hmm. And this is, again, another one. I think there was like one where he didn't, like one of his later films. But majority of this film was shot in California.
Really?
Yeah, the club was in California somewhere, at an actual like club that looks like that on the inside, I guess. It was shot in Seattle, and then some of the, I guess outdoor scenery was shot in Mexico. But that
why?
was like,
I wonder why he didn't film in Texas.
This probably wasn't a good location. So he was like, if I can't shoot in Texas, I guess I'll just shoot in Mexico.
I guess that's weird. You would think that for the stuff that they filmed, they could have made that work in Texas. Right? Yeah, but it's not like it was anything. It was like what, the like dirty gas station in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it gives a lot of like Texas vibes that this could have easily been shot in, but I guess they just couldn't find.
I wonder if it had to be like the club with all of the like pyrotechnics, maybe like maybe they like it was cheaper to do it in California for whatever reason. Like maybe there was already a set there that they could more easily reuse. You know, that's the only thing I can think of.
But he did do his other thing that he always does, which this, like I said, 19 million, who knows the true like budget.
Yeah.
But for a film like this, he used a non-union crew.
Oh.
Which isn't like kind of a thing that, especially with a budget like this, they're like, why wouldn't you use a union crew? But I guess he always uses a non-union and
that's
kind of like brings his people.
It's just so interesting the way that he runs things.
It really is. I know we kind of know someone who was just in one of his films, actually.
Who?
Your co-star in the 48-hour set we were on.
Yeah. Sarah?
Yeah, Sarah.
What did she do?
She was in one of his films.
I didn't know.
Yeah. I saw her posting about it on she was either in it or she was helping work on the set.
Okay.
I believe she got to meet Rodriguez also.
That's super cool.
A lot of people from that set actually were working on that. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah, well,
because I guess he was shooting something here in Austin, so
he's always shooting. Well, they just did they're doing the new Spy Kids.
That, I guess that's exactly what it was then.
Yeah,
had to be then.
That's crazy. Just the way that he just runs everything so differently. That's so interesting. I also he uses the same people all the time, right? Like the same people in all of his movies. The fact that he had Cheech play three different characters instead of just like hiring another actor is so like why?
Yeah, I have no idea why. I thought that was hilarious though. He appears like 3 different times in 3 Jurassic like looking characters also.
It's really because it feels like he's just setting out to make he's just making a movie with his friends every time that he makes a movie. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He like somehow he makes these huge like big scale productions, but it feels like he's still just like he's just making a film in like his hometown with his buddies. You know what I mean? And then it's just they blow up.
I was reading some of his book also, and that's just definitely like how he wants to do things. Like he's always just been someone who just wants to shoot stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And even when he was like going to UT, he was like,
did he go to UT?
I believe so, or he got rejected from the UT. I can't remember the.
I'm gonna look it up.
But he was definitely just like, I just want to shoot things how I want to shoot them.
Oh yeah, he did go to. Yeah, he went.
Yeah, awesome. But yeah, he was like, I don't want to like follow the rules per se.
Yeah.
It's like let me just go. Oh, because like here's the main reason, because he was shooting films with his friend in Mexico, and he was like the Mexico way of like filmmaking is so much different from like here in America, and so he was like, I just want to do stuff like this, you know?
Right.
Why be stuck to like this rule set almost of like how it should be shot?
Right. I'm looking at his other movies. Which is interesting.
Yeah. This is like my favorite like little
group. Is this
Billie
Eilish?
Is that a new one?
Happier Than Ever, A Love Letter to Los Angeles on Disney Plus.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
He had a hand
why
in
he's
that?
a part of that, but yeah. The whole like Planet Terror, Grindhouse kind of feel is always was something that I enjoyed watching.
I don't think I've seen those.
They're fun. They're a lot like this, not in the sense of like changing drastically,
right?
But just again, fun action films, I would say.
He just did Hypnotic here too.
Oh, maybe that's the one.
Spy Kids Armageddon. That's what he's working on right now. If it didn't just wrap, but that's got to be what she said she was working on.
Either one of those,
and then
probably.
because I don't know when Hypnotic was filming, but I was just on set with somebody who worked on that.
Nice.
I don't know if that Billie Eilish thing is true because I don't see it on his IMDb.
You know, that happens a lot, I feel.
It's because Google doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Unless he would, like, it was like a directing thing.
Or like a producing thing.
Or a writing thing. No, you know, I don't think it's real. Well, these are all upcoming. Yeah, I don't see it.
IMDb is always like wrong half the time.
Oh, here it is.
Oh,
previous director, happier than ever, love letter to Los Angeles.
Well, IMDb, you're not always wrong all the time, I guess.
Interesting.
You're only wrong 90% of the time.
Huh.
But what are your final takes or final thoughts on this film? And you said you'd give it nothing higher than a 6, but what do you think now?
On my 10-point rating, I'm giving it a 2.
Oh my gosh. Didn't see that coming. I wasn't even that brutal to Beauty and the Beast.
I didn't like the movie. Well, I didn't like it. Did you like parts of Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah.
I didn't really like any part of this movie. What I will say is that if you like Quentin Tarantino, if you like Robert Rodriguez, if you like monster films, you should watch this movie. I think that maybe you would enjoy this movie. However, if none of those things interest you, there is no reason you should ever watch this movie. There is nothing for us. Move on to the next thing. That's what I have to say. It was, yeah.
Well,
how long was this movie?
82 minutes? Or 90 minutes?
This is the series. I was like, why does it say 45 minutes? IMDb Dusk Till Dawn. I hope IMDb sponsors us. That'd be cool.
You know, that'd be
we use them all the
pretty
time.
Nice. We do. We like to check them out.
Okay, let's see. This says an hour and 48 minutes.
Yeah.
It felt like a long movie.
It feels long, but it goes by pretty fast. So if you got HBO Max, if you're already paying for it and you're like, let me check it out, I guess. Yeah, go check it out. You know, you're already paying for it. If you're, like Kristen said, if you're not a fan of any of those three things and you don't have HBO Max, don't go out of your way to rent it.
I would skip. Yeah, I would skip if those things aren't interesting.
Or you can go to the dollar bin at Walmart and just grab it, pay $1.
Or you could use that $1 on something else.
Like maybe Happy Feet or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It's just a very polarizing movie. So if you're not into like the three pillars that this movie is standing on, it's a skip.
Some would say 4, but the fourth one kind of falls down.
What was the fourth one?
The gangster film like idea.
Oh yeah. I'd say loosely gangster film, and I would also loop into the Robert Rodriguez pillar that, like, if you like that general crew that he kind of like hangs out with, if you like Danny Trejo and like that gang, then yeah, sure.
Or if you just want to see Cheech play 3 different characters,
you can
all
just
in the span of like,
you can just look that up on like YouTube. Like I think that if you're not interested in it, it's a skip. But if you are interested, then definitely watch it because it leans hard into those things. Yeah,
it definitely does. Like I said, I'm a big fan of creature flicks, zombies, werewolves, vampires, the Mummy, any of that. So you give me anything like that, I'm gonna enjoy it. Kristen, you know, I thought like I said, I figured she probably wouldn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
But
it was a miss for me. But I'm glad that you like it. Thanks everyone for listening to another episode of Clued and Clueless. If you want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram handle is @KristenHosty, KristenHosty.
Yeah, and if you want to follow me on Instagram, it is MER_RIO. You almost spit your drink out there. And
it splashed me.
Okay. And breaking news, but not so breaking news. This was our final episode.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
This is our well, not of the entire
forever.
Clueless.
Thank you so much for being with us on this journey.
But this is our final episode of season 1. How did you feel everything went so far? How did you feel about our movies that we watched?
I had a good time. I feel like I'm definitely expanding my film repertoire. I'm glad that I'm getting to share things that I enjoy with you. And season 2, I'm going to force Mario to watch a lot more, so it's really exciting. The prospects are good. But also just thank you so much. We've been so warmly received by everyone that has listened to the podcast so far, or anyone who's been watching us on YouTube. So thank you so much for sticking with us and listening to us week after week. We really enjoy making this podcast and getting to share things that we enjoy with each other and also with y'all. And make sure you're leaving those comments. We really love reading y'all's comments and hearing what you have to say about these films.
Yeah, y'all let us know in person, but let us know also in the comments so other people can see it and be like, hey, that's really cool. So yeah, we're going to put out a video. Maybe we'll post on Spotify also. Not entirely sure, but
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, of what we're going to happen going into season 2 and how that's going to be structured.
Okay.
It's going to be still movies, if you are a fan of that, every now and then.
Probably.
But
I've got some things in store.
You got some things in store?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
We might start expanding past movies.
But, yeah, we'll talk more about that now. But I'm glad you've been on this ride with us for season 1.
And if you enjoyed season 1, feel free to please leave us a review. That would be very helpful going into season 2.
Yeah, go back on all the episodes, leave a review.
Like, subscribe, hit that notification button.
Exactly.
Smash it.
She's killing it right now.
Leave comments.
We've killed it together. Yeah, that's all I got to say for now. And we'll definitely see y'all around for season 2.
Thanks, guys. Bye. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of Clued and Clueless. If you'd like to follow us, you can follow us on Twitter at Clued_Clueless, on Instagram at Clued and Clueless Podcast, on TikTok at Clued and Clueless Pod, and on YouTube at Clued and Clueless. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.